If you've been feeling a little stuck or stagnant or just like you could use a little boost, this video is for you. I'm breaking down all the ways to level up your life without overwhelm or burnout. Glow ups are trending these days. And honestly, who doesn't want to work on certain parts of their life? But today, we're not going to be talking about getting a new wardrobe or starting some 10-step skincare routine or creating a life aesthetic that makes you look like you belong on a Pinterest board, or where you only drink green juice and meditate for 7 days. That's not it at all. This is all about setting the foundation for your future self. Because if you're like most girls, you probably feel like you can do better, be better, or feel better, but you just aren't sure what to focus on. Don't worry, girl, I got you. Growth doesn't have to be huge or scary, and you don't have to wait until the right time to start. You can start right now. Today, I'm going to show you a few easy ways that you can jumpstart your self-improvement journey so that you can start feeling confident and capable and in control of your life. These are all things that I do in my life, and they have drastically changed my mental health and the way I view myself. They've changed the way I show up, and they're helping me live my very best life. And make sure you stay to the end because I have a free resource that is going to help you on your way to becoming your very best self. So the first way that you are going to jumpstart your journey is to journal or write down what you want and what might be holding you back. Before you start any big overhaul or start trying to implement 50 new habits that you think are going to work for you, you have to get clear on what you actually want and where you want to go. Writing down your feelings, your goals, your fears really helps you see the whole picture. Even just 5 to 10 minutes of just free writing can really make a huge difference in self-awareness. And things might come out that you didn't even know were in there. Journaling isn't a diary. It's not writing out what happened in your day. It's really reflecting on who you are in the present and where you want to go in the future. It's noticing patterns and tracking your progress. But the most important thing is to make sure that you're writing without any judgment or editing. Nobody is going to see this except for you. And when you see these thoughts on paper, you're really clarifying what's in your head and what you might actually want to work towards. It can also help you spot negative patterns that might be holding you back. So take some time and free write and ask your things like, what would my ideal day look like? What do I see myself doing in a year? I want to be the kind of person who, and think about somebody that you admire. What are the qualities about them that you admire? What in my life am I unhappy with or afraid to try, afraid to do? And if you want to create a habit of it or start it in your routine, you can do this at night before you go to bed. And there's 3 questions that you can ask yourself. What is one thing that went well today, or one thing that you're proud of? What's one thing that you're grateful for? You can write more than one. And what is one small goal for tomorrow? And it doesn't have to be anything grand, just something small that shows that you are becoming that person. And over time, these little wins will start to stack up and you'll see your confidence really start to grow. The next thing is to curate what you consume. And now a lot of times people think, oh, this is my social media. And of course, you should definitely curate your social media. But this is anything that you are allowing yourself to consume, like media, podcasts, the news, anything that you listen to or are engaging with that may have a negative effect on you. What you read, watch, and listen to, it all shapes your mindset and how you perceive the world around you. So you want to make sure that you're choosing wisely. Consuming content mindlessly, like doom scrolling through Instagram, can make you feel stuck, insecure, overwhelmed, and like you've wasted all this time and did nothing. Allowing the outside world to dictate how you feel isn't healthy. And it's going to inhibit your growth because you're focused on everything else except what's going on in here. As a photographer, I used to love to follow other photographers because I would like looking at their work and I would admire the things that they were creating. But what I noticed over time is that their photos would come through my feed and I would start to feel like, oh man, they are so much better than me. Oh man, I really wish I could shoot like that. Oh, I wonder if I should do a styled shoot and start doing a business like that. And it was really starting to make me feel inadequate as a photographer when before I really felt pretty good about myself. I started to unfollow them, and it wasn't because of anything they did. It was just for my own mental health. I needed to stop that constant comparison and feeling bad about myself whenever I would scroll. Your feed might be full of people that you admire, but if it's full of unrealistic beauty standards, or a house that is beautiful and grand and perfectly clean and white, and it's making you feel behind or like there's something missing in your life, then you need to cut it out. If you're following things that have a lot of drama, or heavy content, it really drains your energy. So you really need to start limiting your time those. Next time you start scrolling, or you're on the internet, I want you to think about how you feel when you're consuming these things. Like, stop for a second and be like, how do I feel right now? Or after you're done, watching a video or listening to a podcast, really reflect on, okay, how do I feel right now? Do I feel energized and motivated? Like I want to go do something cool? Or are you like, wow, like that really sucks. And gosh, now I'm feeling kind of depressed. How do you feel when you're around certain people or in certain groups? Is there a group at school that you belong to that's, really kind of draining your energy when you leave there, or you dread going there when you have to? How often are you being influenced negatively by the things that you're listening to? Think about, the music that you listen to, the shows that you watch, the influencers that you are allowing in. Think about all of these things and the effect that they are having on you and your goals. Start filtering everything through this question: does this add or subtract from my life? You can change that by following uplifting social media accounts, even just like the motivational words ones. I know I follow a couple of those and they sound really silly, but sometimes those come through and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll even repost them. Podcasts. I have a ton of podcasts that I listen to on mindset, but also on business. And I notice that sometimes it's like, if I don't feel like being in business mode that day, and I try to listen to a business podcast, I just get frustrated because I'm like, oh, you really should be working on your business today, even though today is a rest day, and I'll start to get down on myself. So things like that are really important to think about when you start following and unfollowing. What are some places that you can find inspiration or motivation, or people who have already achieved the things that you want to, and you can look to them? You can unfollow or mute anybody or anything that makes you feel like you're comparing or doubting yourself or feeling less than. And make it a habit before you hop on Instagram or you hop on any social media or YouTube or anything like that. Think to yourself, is this going to feed me or is this going to drain me? So if you're just scrolling because you feel bored, see if there's like another small thing that you can do, like a small hobby, or go outside and take a walk, or something that is going to be a little bit more healthy for your brain. This one was really hard for me, and I still struggle with this because I was always a little bit of a perfectionist and like to make everybody happy. So you have to learn how to reframe failure, and also understand that it's going to happen no matter what. You're going to have a lot of wins, but for every win, you're probably going to have several failures. It's just a fact of life. So, it's going to suck, but you have to reframe it as a learning experience. And when I finally learned that, it really helped me to deal with that and become more resilient. I would beat myself up if something didn't go the way that I thought it would. I would think I'm a failure. Things were either a failure or a success. And, that's just not true. Every mistake is teaching you something. It's teaching you what works and what doesn't, what you should do next time. Is this something that you should continue to pursue and work on, or maybe you should step back and look at it in a different way? But it doesn't mean to stop trying, and it doesn't mean that you are a failure. Most of the content that we see out there is all about succeeding. So it's really easy to get stuck on, oh, everybody is succeeding except for me. But you don't see all of the failures that they had before that one success. Failure is not the opposite of growth, and it doesn't mean anything about you. So next time, instead of thinking, oh my God, I messed up, I'm such an idiot, and trust me, I do the same thing. Like I said, I will beat myself up. It's okay to have a little pity party, but you're not allowed to beat yourself up over it. I want you to think to yourself instead, okay, this didn't go as planned, but it's okay. Now I know what I'm going to do differently next time. Or, everybody fails and it doesn't mean that I shouldn't try again. The reframing trains your brain to see fear as a learning opportunity instead of a threat. And it becomes easier to work through those fears, because every time you have a failure, your brain tends to store that away as, ooh, let's avoid that. Let's not do that again because that made us feel bad. But when you reframe it as a learning opportunity, you almost go at it like, okay, I need to learn this lesson, or I need to figure out what works, and you get almost excited about the failure. Keep a failure journal. If you're somebody who likes to write or likes to journal out your feelings, this can be really important into helping you deal with the little setbacks. And you can write down, this is the way I felt about it, but this is what I learned from it, or this is what I gained from it. And that can also help you to switch that into a positive. Embracing failure will build your confidence and your resilience. And those are two huge factors in growth. And I know we've talked about this before in previous videos, but you have got to ditch the negative self-talk. If you want to have a glow up, you cannot be talking to yourself like you aren't worthy of the things that you want, or if you make one little mistake, that you suck. It's one of those sneaky little things where most people do it and they don't even realize how bad it is. But if you say it out loud, or you think, sometimes I think to myself, what would I say to a friend if they were going through the same thing? Would I say all these things that my inner voice is telling me? Hell no, I wouldn't. So when you filter it like that, you can start to fix your inner narrative, and you can think, okay, what would I say if my friend was in my exact same position? And you start to think of those uplifting words, and instead of saying, oh, you're so dumb, or you can't do this, or you're not enough, to be like, hey, you really tried your hardest. Everyone is really cheering for you, and everyone knows that you can do this. You start to believe in yourself as if you believe in that other person that you would be talking to. So simply noticing when that voice starts being a jerk and counter it. Sometimes I even have to stop myself and be like, Ashley, no, this is not helpful. Don't say these kinds of things to yourself. You can say something instead like, I'm really scared, but I know that I'm capable of doing really hard things. I'm a really brave person. I've done some really tough things before. I can do it again. I might mess up, but heck, I'm learning. Or I'm still figuring this out, and I really am doing the best that I can. I'm never going to grow if I don't try. And if it helps, you can even write some positive affirmation. You can Google some positive affirmations, or even just those thought reframes, and write them down on a sticky note, or write them down in your journal, and put it somewhere where you're going to see it every day. When you wake up in the morning and you read this page in your journal, or you put it on sticky notes and put it on your mirror. It sounds kind of weird, but it really does. When you hear those words over and over again, it's like somebody else saying them to you and feeding you this positive feedback. And it really does make a difference. And then it becomes like a habit. And when you do a habit over and over, it just becomes a way that you live. Instead of trying to completely overhaul your life, which usually never works, you want to start small and be consistent, because consistency is going to win every time. It's hard to be consistent when you have all of these, 50 million things that you're trying to implement in your life. The idea of reinvention and rebranding is huge right now, especially in the business world. And I see it all the time. And it looks so glamorous and so amazing. And women are breaking free of their past selves and owning who they are and stepping into these new versions of themselves. But it's really important to try and not change everything at once. It's tempting to want to change your whole life on a weekend, but you get so excited and you're really good at it for like maybe 3 or 4 or 5, maybe even a week. And then you burn yourself out and you become unmotivated and you stop. So here's an example. You want to get in shape, or you want to be that person who does all the things that you see all the influencers doing. So you want to wake up at 5 a.m., you want to run a mile, you want to journal 5 pages, you want to get your skincare routine all good to go. You want to shower and get completely ready, full face of makeup, all before class starts. What do you think is going to happen after a couple of days? So maybe instead pick one small habit. Okay, Every morning, I'm going to go for a quick walk, and then I'm going to come home. I'm going to have my coffee or my tea or whatever, and I'm going to journal for 5 minutes or do my prayers or read a couple of pages. Just a small habit like that to implement into your morning routine instead of completely uprooting and trying to do all of these 1 million tough things. For me personally, it was deciding that I wanted to feel good. And so I knew that that would come from implementing some new healthy habits. And so I wanted to, start eating well. I wanted to integrate movement into my day, and I wanted to make my environment nice and comfortable. And so what I did is I was like, okay, I'm going to start meal planning. Dinners and lunches, and that way I'm not going in and grabbing fast food or grabbing something that's unhealthy because I'm starving. I've already got my pre-planned healthy meal. I'm going to try and put more protein into my diet. I'm going to start working out. I scheduled my workout 3 days a week. I'm going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I know that's my non-negotiable. I don't plan things during that time period. And I made my bedroom this really cozy sanctuary because that's where I wanted to do my journaling and any meditation or reflection, things like that. So I bought some new, they're inexpensive, but I bought some new nice and cozy sheets. And I bought a candle that's like lavender and it smells really good. And some really nice lotion that I can put on my hands at night. So I've got all of these smells and then the touch of the sheets and everything that's just making me feel really cozy so that when I go up to my bed at night, I've just got this nice, serene, calming space before I go to bed. I even have a little habit tracker on my daily to-do list. And so I can kind of check off, and you get that little hit of dopamine every time that you check it off. So you can start a new habit tracker, you can write it down in your journal or in your calendar, and that works just as well too. Surround yourself with positive influences. Who you surround yourself with can have a big impact on you being able to achieve your goals. And it matters so much more than you think, because if you're constantly around people who don't work at the same level as you, don't have these bigger dreams for themselves, they kind of think small, they think in this box, or they're always kind of Debbie Downers talking about what's going on wrong in their lives. It really can change your mental state, and it really does bring you down. A lot of times it can make you start doubting yourself because you're like, oh, if all of these people don't think that they can realize their dreams, what makes me think I can? You become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So you want to make sure that you choose wisely. Try to find people who challenge you to be your best self without competing with you or shaming you for the things that you want. One simple exercise to do is to make a list of people that you admire and write down all of the qualities of them. What are things that you like about them, and those are really the qualities that you want to look for in friends or in groups that you want to spend a lot of time around. And the next time you do hang out with people that you already do, notice who's cheering you on, who's lifting you up, who's supporting you, and who's showing up for you, who makes you feel energized, and who makes you feel like they drain your battery. You really should be intentional about who you are spending your energy on, because it really is a precious resource for you. And you don't need a huge circle. You just need the right one. And finally, we're going to start setting some real goals. Now that you've got this picture of where you want to go, you need to start thinking of the small steps it's going to take to get there. I remember when I was starting my journey, I was like, okay, who is the person that I want to wake up every morning and be so excited to be? And when I realized it was helping young girls, and I started thinking about all the ways that I could do that, I would wake up in the morning and be like, oh my gosh, like, how can I serve today? What are the things that I can do today? And I would start to implement these habits into my daily life so that I could get to that point where I could be somebody who was a thought leader or was inspiring young girls. I just recently had an event for young girls in my community. It was a photo event. And, I was really scared the whole time, but I made a goal. I said I was going to do it. So I gave myself accountability, and I was really clear on what the things were that I had to do to get there so that I had a successful event. So I'm not talking, big, vague goals like I want to be confident or I want to be healthy, because those are really hard to track. because a goal without a plan is just a wish. So you have to have ways to break it into these smaller steps. So, for example, if you want to be healthy, you can research a few meal plans or a few different meals and start planning them out. If you want to be confident, you can start a new hobby where it's a group of people, a new group sport or some way that gets you out of your comfort zone. And you really, it helps to find friends that will hold you accountable to those as well. Then it helps you to set those goals and really stick with them. And seeing that progress really feels so amazing. Every time you have that new small goal step towards your actual big goal, it keeps you motivated and it keeps you going and thinking, wow, I can do this. I can actually get there. And you want to make sure that you're celebrating all of that progress as well. So start with just a couple of these. Again, you don't want to overwhelm yourself and just be like, okay, I've got to do all of these this weekend. Start with one or two that really resonate you. And I would highly recommend you do the first one, which is journaling out what you want. Because if you don't have a roadmap or you don't have a clear picture of where you want to go, I mean, that's like saying, okay, we're going to get in the car. What do we put in the GPS? I don't know. Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? And just remember that all of these little things are contributing to your growth. Even though you don't feel them every day, they really are adding up, so that when you look back at yourself in a year or, even 6 months or 90 days, you really are going to see how far you've come in that time. And if you want a plan completely laid out for you, just to get started, I have created a 7-day guide that walks you through each step, and so that you can begin your glow up with tangible tips and one thing to do every single day to help you get started. I would really love to hear which one of these tips that you want to try, which one really resonated with you. And if this helped, make sure you click like so that other girls just like you can find these videos too.